Battle Through the Heavens, Chapter 237, Claiming the Ancient Map Fragment and Hiring a Powerful Bodyguard. The dust on Xiaoyan's sleeve settles as the silence between them curdles into a hard, frozen weight. He leans back, pulling the thinning, frost-bitten air into his lungs without a tremor. Across the narrow gap, a predator's focus sharpens. Yet the youth remains anchored to his chair, meeting the crushing pressure with a gaze as flat as deep water.
Two gazes intersected in mid-air, both projecting an uncompromising intent. A faint chill lingered in mid-air, and the atmosphere suddenly became somewhat frozen. Dark pupils stared calmly into the air. Following the recovery of his strength, Hai Ba Dong had become even more sharp and overbearing.
Xiaoyan's body leaned back slightly, resting against the back of the chair with his arms crossed over his chest. His expression was as calm as well water, seemingly bottomless. He did not show any change in countenance, despite the aura of a Dou Huang within the secret room. In the air, Hai Bao Dong's gaze became somewhat sharp, staring fixedly at the black-robed youth below. A faint chill curled within his palms. As his strength recovered, the suppressed emotions of several decades finally began to slowly relax. Back when he was the peak Ice Emperor, he was cold and overbearing.
No one had dared to forcibly take anything from his hands, yet Xiaoyan had broken his taboo. Previously, because of the seal and the reason that he could not see through Xiaoyan's strength, Hai Ba Dong had not shown any hostility. However, now that the seal was broken, the Ice Emperor who once dominated a region had finally returned.
The sudden increase in strength caused a thought to secretly emerge in Hai Bai Dong's heart to completely take back the map fragment. Although Hai Bai Dong did not know what use these map fragments ultimately had, he could understand that they hid a secret that was absolutely not small. After all, even a powerhouse of Queen Medusa's level had been attracted enough to chase him from over 1,000 miles away. His body floated in midair, surrounded by ice-cold chill. Hai Bai Dong's gaze stared at Xiaoyan's calm expression. The youth's silence and his somewhat deep and unpredictable state finally caused Hai Ba Dong, whose confidence had soared, to clear his head a little. His eyes narrowed into slits. Hai Ba Dong recalled the battle with Xiaoyan several months ago. His plump cheeks became somewhat solemn. In his mind, the scene of the youth controlling that pale white flame flashed by. Suddenly, a cold shiver appeared in Hai Bai Dong's heart without any warning. Previously, when he had come into contact with that pale white flame, Hai Bai Dong understood its terror very clearly. As the analysis in his heart caused the chill in his mind to slowly rise, his body gave a very slight tremble. The coldness on his face gradually melted away, replaced a moment later by a smile that looked gentle on his stiff, aged face. After a moment of contemplation, the confidence that had expanded due to the sudden increase in strength finally vanished under the pressure of reason. Looking further, he made a vague calculation. Hai Ba Dong found a trace of fear in his heart. Even though he had now recovered strength close to his past self, he was still unable to see through the true strength of this youth. Although the sensing of Xiaoyan's aura was clearly at the level of a Dou Qi, having fought him once, Hai Ba Dong knew that anyone who treated the youth before him as an ordinary Dou Qi would likely be taught a bloody lesson.
For the time being, I should not make him an enemy.
The thought flashed through his mind. Hai Ba Dong's aged cheeks revealed a gentle smile, nodding to Xiaoyan in an amicable manner. The chill surrounding his body also slowly withdrew into his body. Xiaoyan's gaze looked into the air, flashing with a hint of playfulness. After a moment of contemplation, he also suddenly withdrew his sharp aura. Simultaneously with Hai Baidong's display of goodwill, Xiaoyan toyed with the storage ring on his finger and said with a measured smile,
Old Mr. Hai, I thought that since you have recovered your strength, you intended to go back on your word and act against this junior. That look of yours just now truly made people terrified.
Xiaoyan, little brother, what are you saying? How could this old man forget your assistance to me? That kind of ungrateful action, how could I, Hai Baidong, do such a thing?
Hurriedly waving his hand, Hai Baidong slowly descended and explained to Xiaoyan with a smile.
I am truly sorry. Just now, because my strength recovered suddenly, I was unable to control my aura for a moment, causing little brother to be frightened.
Xiaoyan sat on the chair and smiled. His slender hand gently patted his sleeve. He said with a faint, regretful smile,
It is truly a bit of a pity. This junior originally intended to experience the true strength of the Ice Emperor, who was once famous in the Jama Empire. Now it seems that is likely impossible. This opportunity is truly a pity.
Hearing this, the corner of Hai Baidong's eye twitched very slightly. The sharp gaze within Xiaoyan's stare did not look like he was joking. After a moment, he let out a laugh and quickly moved his gaze. At the same time, he felt lucky in his heart. It seemed that this person's reaction to his recovery of strength did not involve too much wariness. Fortunately, he did not destroy their relationship earlier. Otherwise, if a battle occurred, it was hard to say who would win or lose. Furthermore, offending an alchemist who could refine a Tier 6 medicinal pill was clearly an extremely unwise move. If one could kill the opponent with a single strike on the spot, it might be fine, but if the opponent escaped, it would bring endless trouble in the future. Hai Baidong had witnessed the rallying power of high-level alchemists, and Xiaoyan's alchemy level was not inferior.
Little brother Xiaoyan, where are you going with that? This old bag of bones of mine doesn't have many years of life left.
Hai Baidong said with a dry laugh and a wave of his hand. Smiling, without commenting, Xiaoyan slowly sat up straight. He extended his hand, looked at the old man in front of him, and said with a calm smile,
Old Mister, the seal is broken today. My mission is considered completely finished. So, that map fragment?
When the words map fragment reached his ears, Hai Baidong's wrinkled face twitched. However, this time he did not make any other excuses, because he could clearly feel that while he was silent, Dou Qi had begun to surge violently within the youth in front of him. Within those dark pupils, an ice-cold intent gradually emerged. Clearly, if he said a single word of delay now, the youth would likely turn hostile and strike immediately. With a bitter smile and a sigh, Hai Baidong's finger rubbed his storage ring. Following this, a small, yellowed piece of skin that looked extremely ancient appeared in his palm. He very reluctantly stroked the ancient map fragment and sighed.
I have been making maps for several decades, but have never seen a map as complex as this. Not long after finding it, I wanted to copy a portion based on this fragment. However, the resulting map was extremely strange and did not match the original. After trying many times, I was forced to give up on that idea. I think this might be related to the fact that the map is incomplete.
Xiaoyan's gaze stared fixedly at that map fragment. He glanced at Hai Baidong's face. Although he vaguely knew the reason, he could not explain the old man's doubts. Previously, after finding the first map fragment in the Magical Beast mountain range, Yao Lao had discovered that there was an extremely huge ancient spiritual power hidden on the map. This spiritual power was extremely faint. Without the superior soul of an alchemist, it was difficult for an ordinary person to discover it.
This spiritual power would not directly cause any harm to a person. However, if anyone tried to copy the roots and lines, this spiritual power would unconsciously erode the person's mental state, causing them to draw a map almost completely different from the original. After stroking the map fragment lingeringly for a moment, Haibadong shook his head in frustration and handed it to Xiaoyan, saying with a bitter smile,
Take it. From my experience, this map has been divided into many pieces. I only have a tiny portion. Keeping it has no real use. Furthermore, wanting to search for the remaining map fragments across the continent is undoubtedly more difficult than finding a needle in the ocean.
Smiling, Xiaoyan reached out and accepted this somewhat soft map fragment. After evaluating it for a moment, an ancient sense of desolation hit him. It seemed this map fragment had existed for a long time. Holding the map fragment, Xiaoyan took out the previous map fragment from Haibadong and joined them. He then let out a breath. Clearly, after joining the two pieces, they fit perfectly.
Little brother Xiaoyan, you seem to be very interested in this map fragment.
Seeing Xiaoyan's appearance, Haibadong's eyes rolled as he asked with a chuckle.
I have some interest in all such strange things.
Xiaoyan said with a somewhat vague smile.
Little brother, all the map fragments in my hands have gone to you. I wonder if you can tell me what secret this thing actually holds.
Rubbing his hands, Haibadong could not help his curiosity and asked,
Old Mr. Hai, I told you before, except for seeing a map fragment at an auction once, this is the first time I have obtained one. So, as for what it actually hides, I am not very clear myself.
Xiaoyan spread his hands and said with a long laugh. Hearing this, the corner of Haibadong's mouth twitched. He followed with a laugh. In his heart, he thought, You don't know? Only a ghost would believe you don't know. Only a fool would risk his life to enter the desert for a map fragment he doesn't understand. Do you look like a fool? Hearing Xiaoyan's words, Haibadong understood that Xiaoyan did not want to tell him the secret of the map. He immediately shook his head. Since the map fragment was now in Xiaoyan's hands, and he was not confident in taking it by force, he could only suppress his curiosity. He carefully placed the map fragment into a box, and then into his ring. Xiaoyan let out a breath in his heart. After so much effort, this thing was finally in his hands.
Old Mr. Hai, now that your strength has recovered, you probably won't continue to hide in this shop, right?
Placing his hands in his sleeves, Xiaoyan suddenly smiled toward Haibadong.
Previously, I stayed here mainly to study the map and find a way to break the seal. Now that the seal is broken, there's naturally no reason to stay here.
Haibadong nodded, glanced at the smiling Xiaoyan, and asked,
Do you have something?
Indeed, there is something I want to ask old Mr. Hai for help with.
Xiaoyan waved his sleeve and said with a light laugh,
You want to use the favor of a Du Huang so quickly?
Haibadong chuckled and said,
I said it. You helped me once, so I owe you a favor. However, if you want my help now, this favor will be cleared.
I believe old Mr. Hai might owe me many more favors in the future, for no other reason than that I am an alchemist who can refine Tier 6 medicinal pills.
Xiaoyan said with a faint smile.
Although that sounds arrogant, it is indeed true. An alchemist who can refine Tier 6 medicinal pills is someone any Dou Huang would be willing to be friends with. Naturally, I am no exception.
Sighing, Haibadong nodded in agreement. No matter what, on this continent, alchemists, especially high-level alchemists, are forever the best friends to have.
Speak then. What do you need me to do? As long as it is within my capability, I will absolutely not refuse.
He Bai Dong stroked the small beard on his chin and said with a smile,
2 months from now, I will go to the Yunlan sect. At that time, there might be some conflict with them. Old Mr. Hai, I only need you to show your face then.
Xiaoyan let out a light breath and said after a brief silence,
Yunlan sect? Why are you provoking them? That is a massive mountain.
Hai Ba Dong xoảng tiết và sửa soảng.
Just to resolve some grievances.
Xiaoyan said casually, without explaining anything. After all, that matter was not very glorious.
The Yunlan sect's power is very strong, and they have many powerhouses. It seems this difficult task is not small.
Seeing Hai Ba Dong's hesitation, Xiaoyan smiled and said,
Old Mr. Hai, please be at ease. I am not asking you to become an enemy of the Yunlan sect. It is just that if they truly try to use many to defeat the few, I only need old Mr. Hai to show your face.
Using many to defeat few? You are truly humorous. With your strength, besides the sect leader of the Yunlan sect, who else can oppose you?
Because of some reasons, I do not want to reveal my strength. When I go there, I will only use my current level of power.
Xiaoyan spread his hands and smiled.
Huh? That truly is a strange decision.
Hearing this, Hai Ba Dong was startled. He pondered for a moment and then nodded helplessly.
Fine. Since I owe you a favor, I will go with you to the Yunlan sect. Although I cannot currently turn the Yunlan sect upside down, protecting your safety is indeed not too difficult.
Seeing Hai Ba Dong nod, Xiaoyan smiled. With a Dou Huang as a bodyguard, those stubborn old fools at the Yunlan sect should restrain themselves quite a bit.